Welcome, everybody. My name is Mary McGrath, and I am the Executive Director of Safe and Supportive Schools for San Mateo County Office of Ed. And our prompt today is to give us kind of a color spectrum of how you're feeling. So blue and green is feeling kind of chill, yellow is neutral, orange or red is feeling upset or stressed or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just call on people as I've got you. So I'm going to start with Tara.
Hi, I'm Tara. I'm from Millbrae, and I would say red.
Because you're not feeling good today. Okay. Okay. Melissa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa from Jefferson Union High School District. Mary, I was doing the sign-in sheet when you said what the colors meant.
So blue and green mean you're feeling really chill and relaxed. Yellow is neutral, and orange and red are feeling stressed or angry or upset.
I think I'm brown because I'm a mix of a bunch of those.
Okay. Right on. Amy.
I am actually in the red because it's been a tough week for child welfare. We had a critical incident that we've been dealing with. Not something we want to have to deal with ever in our career.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
But we'll get through.
Okay. Millie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Millie, and I work with Life Moves as the Education Initiatives Manager. And Life Moves is a nonprofit shelter agency. And I'm feeling kind of yellow. It's a little bit in the middle of the craziness as school has started.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, thank you. Tanya.
Hi, I'm Tanya Santa Cruz, Jefferson Elementary, and I'm kind of in the yellow, like the good and the bad in between.
Okay, thank you. Shalane.
Shalane Peterson, Admin Support for Safe and Supportive Schools here at the County Office of Ed. And I'm a good mellow yellow.
Okay, excellent. Heather.
Good morning. I'm Heather Morgan. I'm the Director of Student Support for the San Mateo Foster City School District.
Oh.
I'm blue. It's actually a good day.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Jared.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jared Burke. I work with Tanya in Jefferson Elementary School District. Yellow and orange.
Okay. Renee, please.
Good morning, everyone. I am Renee Barisas. I'm one of the educational liaisons with the Foster Youth Services Program. And I would say I'm right in the middle today. So right yellow.
Okay, thank you. Leticia. Oh, I think you're still muted. Leticia, we can't hear you. Can you?
Sorry. Sorry. My name is Leticia Haft, and I work in South San Francisco Unified School District. I'm on behalf of Ryan Sievers. I'm a school liaison, and I feel kind of between green and yellow.
Okay. Thank you. Merle.
Good morning. My name is Merle, and I'm from the Bayshore School District. I'm the parent community liaison, preschool site supervisor, and kitchen manager. I went from blue to orange and red.
Okay.
We have licensing here today, and I'm like, gotta go.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking your time to be with us today. Latrice.
Hello, Latrice Taylor, Associate Director of Programs and Services for Sheridan House. I'm not chill, I'm not neutral, but I'm okay.
Okay.
So in between there.
Okay, thank you. Spencer.
Hi everyone, my name is Spencer. I am from Casa of San Mateo. and I am pretty blue. Yeah, blue. And this weather, it's very chill. I don't know. It's affecting me too.
Thank you. Marie.
Good morning, Marie Biscuit, Pivotal. I'm trying to catch on to this color scheme here. I'm not sure, but I'm always a lover of all shades of blue. So I'm just gonna pick blue.
Okay.
If it's a mood representation, you should just not read too much into it. I'm doing
okay.
Thank you.
Blue meant chill.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Chris.
I'm Chris Arrington with the Menlo Park City School District, the Wellness Coordinator. I'm just gonna stay with blue right now. I'm gonna force it to happen.
Okay. Samantha.
Good morning, everyone. Samantha Taylor with Star Vista's Foster Youth Education Program, and I am at a green today.
Great. Adriana.
Sorry, I just realized I was on mute. My name's Adriana, and I'm with the Ravenswood City School District. I'm sitting in for Cynthia Jen, our student support director. And I feel like a blue today. Yesterday, kind of like a yellow, but so far it's so good today, and I hope to keep it blue.
Okay, thank you. Jocelyn.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn from the Sequoia Union High School District. I help support the welfare and attendance coordinator as well as health and wellness coordinator, and I'm pretty yellow today.
Leticia?
She went.
Oh, she went. Sorry, I had her down twice.
I went already.
Okay, sorry. Ashley. Ashley?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm coming. Hi, sorry. I was working on unmuting myself. Ashley Cook. I'm with 5 Key Schools and Programs. I kind of wear a lot of hats, but I'm the principal over the San Mateo sites, but I'm also the regional superintendent for all of NorCal. But I'm kind of be a yellow orange, like somewhere between there, a yellow orange today.
Thank you. Okay, Susie. Susie Riley. Okay, we'll come back to her. Lauren.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lauren Snead. I am an educational liaison working with San Mateo County Office of Education Foster Youth Services team, and I am a green today.
Alyssa.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alyssa Canfield, and I'm with Star Vista's Transitional Youth Services Program. We support former foster youth, typically aged 21 to 24 years of age. And I'm feeling about a gray today. I'm enjoying kind of the chillier side of the weather.
Thank you. Alvaro.
Good morning, Alvaro Calderon, Welfare and Attendance Coordinator from the Sequoia District. I missed the whole color scheme, but I'm feeling red. A lot of fires to put out.
Okay. Okay. And Antonio.
Antonio Perez, Redwood City School District. I'm the Director of Student Services for the district, and I'm green today.
Excellent.
Thanks.
And Rosanna.
Good morning, everyone. Rosanna with the Foster Youth Services Coordinating Program. I'm an ed liaison for foster youth. I think I started this meeting feeling like an yellow-orange, but after hearing all of you and seeing all of these supports for foster youth, I'm heading more into the green.
Excellent. So other than the new people I can introduce that know I'm introducing them, is there anyone that I missed? Wow. Okay, that's impressive. Okay.
Well,
thank you guys.
I can go.
Okay, go for it. Okay, this is Jeremy. Jeremy is going to be one of our new Americorps service members. But Jeremy, he's such a trooper. He's reporting from his hospital bed. So Jeremy, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be doing with the foster youth program this year?
Well, a little bit about myself is, hello, my name is Jeremy.
I'm in the green. So it's my last year at Cal State East Bay, majoring in studio art. And what I will be doing with the foster youth is just trying to give them a different way of thinking and give them a different outlet of what they want to do in life, as far as like getting into their brain and picking out like what they like to do. I got a lot more because this will take like an hour, but I'm just trying to make it short and sweet. So just to nip it in the bud, yeah, I'll be working with the foster care youth and just sharing my experience and trying to shed some light, some positivity.
Yeah, we're really excited to have Jeremy and to launch. We just feel very fortunate to have gotten such a great first-time candidate for our Americorps service program. So we're very excited you're here, Jeremy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And then we also have a new administrative assistant. So Renee, can you introduce Michelle to everybody? And then Michelle can tell us a little bit about herself.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to take the time to introduce our new administrative assistant for the Foster Youth Services Coordinating Program, and also this, oh gosh, I'm blanking on Molly's program, which she will also be supporting. But her name is Michelle Lee, and Michelle, welcome to our village. We are getting to know Michelle. She is brand new as of a couple of weeks ago, and she comes with many, many years of experience in the culinary field and the catering and customer service, and also community service. So at this time, I will hand it over to Michelle, and welcome, Michelle. And if you could spend a few moments telling us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, hi, my name is Michelle. I'm going to be helping with foster youth and Molly's safety and risk in schools. And yeah, Renee pretty much summed it all up. If anything, I guess I'm in the yellow. I'm good. I'm mellow, neutral, and yeah, I'm just excited to be able to start this and really dig deep into knowing what everyone does and how we help the community.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that. So this is going to be Shalane's last meeting with us. So we thank you, Shalane, for just being so astounding as our administrative support. So thank you so much. Okay, so today's a lot of information, and what I'm hoping is that we can get your information. Sorry, Rosanna.
Do we have one more introduction?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. See, she just is a normal part of it, for I forgot. So we would also like to reintroduce to this group Lauren Snead. She used to be one of the foster youth ed liaisons and then transitioned more to the court and community schools. And now we are fortunate enough to have her back. And so Lauren, can you, wherever you are, could you step in and just say a little bit about what your specialty is going to be with the foster youth program?
Good morning. Can everyone hear me a little bit better now? I tried to, okay. Fix my volume. Hi, good morning. I'm Lauren Snead. As Mary said, I will be working with the foster youth services team again, part-time, as well as the court and community. It's great to come back on both sides of the fence. As you know, we do have foster youth that are also incarcerated youth. I specifically will be working with our senior class. So I'll be reaching out to our school districts to make sure that we're serving that senior class with their financial aid and their FAFSA, and just keeping them on track, as well as with post-secondaries, just supporting the team. And I'm glad to be back and see everyone again. I do apologize for not having my camera on for the introduction. I am at Juvenile Hall, so for confidentiality, I just wanted to keep my camera off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, Lauren. I just consider you such a part of our team already. I forgot. So, so we do have, the good news about everything is that under both specialized populations of foster youth and students experiencing homelessness, we are getting extra funding this year. For foster youth, I'm supposed to know, I think by the end of next week, how much extra, and same with the homeless, we got an additional $109,000 to use for this year. So We're really excited about that. That gives us some extra impetus to be able to do different things for students in need. So what I wanted to go over first is just to kind of explain what our goals have been, just as the homeless team and the foster youth team. And then we would love to get your input on what you're seeing in your roles as community partners, community service members. And so we can get our goals aligned moving forward. So just bear with us for a little bit longer to kind of explain where we're coming from, and then we'd love to get your input and tweak where we need to tweak. So the first is that we have been able, through the generosity of Child and Family Services, to have a little bit of extra funding to focus specifically on CSEC, commercially sexually exploited children. And so Rosanna has taken on that role as one of her areas of specialty. So Rosanna, can you talk a little bit about what we'll be doing? And it's not just for foster, but we're using some homeless money for it as well to really focus on those students in need.
Yeah, so Mary and some other of our partners put together a symposium at the end of June. It was really well attended by not only our school districts, which is rare at the end of the school year, but also a lot of our community partners, Children and Family Services. And so that kind of kicked off an awareness campaign in San Mateo County. And so we will be continuing with the prevention and identification campaign throughout San Mateo County, but really also working on increasing the infrastructure to support a countywide response, because it isn't just up to the schools and it isn't just up to Children and Family Services. It really will take all of us in the county, regular community members, law enforcement. And so that is something that Mary and myself and the rest of the team will be working on this year.
And additionally, we've been asked to kind of put together like a CSEC community of practice, and then also to continue the bigger trainings where we bring in law enforcement and elected officials and things like that. So I'll be sharing that information with you guys as that stuff comes.
Right. So the district attorney attended the symposium at the end of June. And then yesterday we presented to the Human Trafficking Initiative of San Mateo County. And there was representatives of Redwood City law enforcement. And I know Daly City usually attends those. And so that's part of our kind of gathering of law enforcement.
So the other category is homeless. And so these were the goals that we were thinking of focusing on. So last year we had this really ambitious goal of getting a bunch of Chromebooks and training the parent outreach liaisons from Head Start and other early childhood programs to go out into the community to help these families get connected to the core services. So because of COVID and all of that, we managed to get the Chromebooks, but we were not able to do the training. So we're going to be working with Star Vista to get that rolling up, and then hosting nights, like family nights, where parents can come together and use the technology, check emails, do things like that. I have found that it has become more effective to do individual McKinney-Vento trainings with the districts, and then skewing the content to the population that they have. We find that we're getting more of a positive response and implementation of best practices when I'm going district to district instead of just doing one big one. We also are really focusing on student voice and choice this year for both categories of students, both homeless and foster. So we have a student advisory committee that is committed to actively recruiting youth to be on that committee. And there are several other like youth advisory boards going on within the county. And so someone from our team is going to be working to try and coalesce them and have real representation from incarcerated youth, English learners, all of newcomers, to like all of these specialized populations that often are the most marginalized and underserved. Then we'll be hosting our annual Vulnerable Student Symposium in February. We've already secured, I can't remember her name, so if Rosanna or Shalane remembers, or Renee, get a keynote speaker who has I believe, what experienced homelessness herself and then went on to like be a CEO. So she's going to be a great speaker. And then we're looking, as always, for funding for, not looking for, we have funding to give community partners. Like we were able to give a good chunk to Life Moves last year, that I got some amazing pictures of what they did with the money, creating learning centers for kids and helping out with a safe parking lot for families that had to leave their kids in cars during distance learning. So those are some of our ideas for homeless. So after the next section, I'd love to hear other ideas that our community partners have. And now I'm going to turn it over to our foster youth team, starting with Rosanna, to talk about a little bit more in depth from what Jeremy started about Americorps.
Hi, so I think we have been talking about this Americorps Foster Youth Initiative program for a couple of years. It's been kind of a dream of mine to bring on a service member to work with our transition age foster youth. It is through Americorps, which is the federal program, and the funds are given to the Child Abuse Prevention Center in Northern California. And then they kind of hold the Americorps program and provide some of the funding, but they provide all of the training, which Jeremy has started going through. And it is really a focus on transition age youth and providing financial literacy through the Casey Life Skills program. He'll be holding a caseload of maybe 5 or 6 students that he'll be working with. And then Mary will have some projects for him through the County Office of Ed, and introducing him also to the ILP program to ensure we're not duplicating services or supplanting any of the services they're already providing. So I'm really excited. Jeremy, we don't have a start date for him yet, but he has started the training program. Are there any questions about that? I think it's a new program for us, and so that's why some of the projects he'll be working on aren't exactly crystal clear. Some are, and then we'll be finding other ways for him to support our foster youth. But it is a mentorship type program, so that's what we'll be focusing on. Any questions about the Americorps program? Okay, so you can throw them in the chat too. The other project that I've been working on over the past year is working with Kenyatta College. I don't think, is there anyone from Kenyatta on here? I don't think so. They reached out, they started working on a foster parent education so that foster parents can have a better idea of how to help their older foster youth transition from high school into post-secondary. They have every community college has a foster youth point person. There's also lots of other services that could help foster youth if they were to apply for it, like the EAPS program. And they have quite a few champions of foster youth on campus that really wanted to come together and create a specific program for foster youth. Unfortunately, they don't have a specific physical site right now. So what they've done is they've kind of, I don't want to call it branding, but they've started a program called the ROSE program. So for resources, opportunity, support, and I can't remember the E, the ROSE program. And what it will do is create maybe not a physical space, but a presence on campus that foster youth know where to go to for help. And so there'll be a specific foster youth page on the community college website. There will be an icon so that of a rose. I don't know if it's actually been drawn yet, but so that when students see that icon, it might be next to a teacher's name in a handbook, because that teacher has been has gone through a training on foster youth and their unique needs. And so this, in addition to the Skyline Guardian Scholars Program, is something that will also reach out to CSM to kind of discuss with them what kind of programming they can create for their foster youth. So this is all kind of in the beginning stages, but just something I've been working on as well. Any questions about that? No. Okay, I know the ILP program has also been joining those meetings with Kenyatta as well.
Okay, and then another one is we had CTE come, I don't know, one time last year. And so the grants that they have recently been given, there's going to be a lot more opportunity for our youth who are experiencing homelessness and in foster care. So they're still trying to kind of get the their budgets down with what they've been given. But I'm hopeful that when we meet again in November, that I'll have an update for you of how we can utilize some of those opportunities for our youth and get direct names from you guys of kids that we can utilize for that. Okay, and then Renee, could you talk about the FAFSA nights and things we wanted to do?
Sure. So we started talking about this towards the end of last school year. So many of you may be aware that we are part of our mandate for our foster youth services coordinating program is to ensure that every foster youth completes their FAFSA and has information and connection to post-secondary institutions. And so we are going to be working very, very closely with all of our educational partners and with Children and Family Services, and especially with our manager with Children and Family Services, Amy Yoon, and her team, which includes ILP, Pivotal, CLCP, and so we are going to be working very closely in collaboration and support to really make sure that our supports and services are aligned and that we are outreaching not only to parents, resource parents, caregivers, guardians, and also the youth themselves, and also our high school counselors, really working collaboratively with any support that interfaces with our foster youth. And of course, we also, since this is sort of a bridge with foster youth and homeless youth, we also want to make sure that this group can collaborate together to support homeless students and other vulnerable populations. So we do have a plan to schedule some FAFSA nights where the partners will be able to actually work with our foster youth. And again, also with our parents and guardians and caregivers. So really outreaching to multiple, on multiple levels so that we can create this sort of safety net and make sure that we are reaching all of our students in our program to ensure that they have the information that they need, the access. And again, this is for FAFSA and the California DREAM Act. And really, it's going to be a collaborative project, again, to make sure that we're not duplicating services, that we are leaning in and making sure that we are working together in unison and making sure that we are asking the youth what they need and meeting the youth where they are at to ensure that they have the information and access, and really to but to continue to address the educational outcomes of foster youth, make sure that they have the exposure, the information to post-secondary and college institutions, and also to help address the enrollment part, and the retention part, because we do know that statistics are quite low for foster youth in terms of retention. So just want to work collaboratively and make sure that we're addressing all those needs for foster youth. And if anyone else in the team, and I should also point out that we have mentioned, but we're excited to have Lauren here, who definitely has that area of expertise in college and post-secondary. And as she mentioned, she will be working directly with our seniors to make sure that they have the support and linkages that they need for post-secondary.
Okay, thank you, Renee. And actually I'm going to turn it back over to Lauren to talk about, because she's in this unique position where she is in our court and community schools as an academic counselor, as well as in our program. She started something last year for our youth, and we're going to expand that this year. So Lauren, can you speak about that a little bit?
Certainly. So hi, everyone. Last year I was able to work with Mary with some of the foster youth as well as all of the incarcerated youth. And we did a few supportive, especially trauma-informed and social emotional projects with them that we're going to be expanding. for our community school and for the court school, just working with them on their portfolios of awesomeness where they collected their information and they were able to build their confidence. We also connected some of our foster youth that had special education to DOR, and they were even incarcerated but able to actually gain employment skills and go out to work with the court's permission. And then we were really excited about the YPAR program and working with TUPE funds to provide workshops and elective credits, yay for elective credits and other credits. But students were learning about vaping and learning about healthy lifestyles and financial literacy. And we even had firefighters come in that were formerly incarcerated youth from Failing Forward and talk to our students about positives, turnarounds, where they were now all firefighters within the Bay Area. So we're hoping to work with Michelle Holt, who handles our art project, and provide classes starting in the second quarter.
So that was a really long list, but those are the things that we are focusing on. So now I'd like to turn it over to you. And so I have like two-fold question. One is, what are you guys seeing with the youth? And what are your organizational goals? And where do you see gaps? Like, where do you need funding? Or so we can start a dialogue about how we can all support each other. So I'm not going to select people. Anyone can just go. Or I will pick on someone. I'm going to pick on Melissa to tell us what she's seeing in the schools with our kids.
With all kids or foster and homeless?
Well, I think it's all kids, but you know, the kids who are experiencing homelessness and in the foster care system are just have more barriers. So
I don't know that I can speak about our foster youth. We don't actually have very many officially designated in our district. One of them for sure, I think Renee is well aware of the situation. The student just doesn't come to school at all. So that's a huge barrier for us. And we can't get the student the services that their IEP requires. So that's been a struggle. But as far as students who are not permanently sheltered, we have an enormous number. And I'm sure the people that are here from Life's Moves and Samaritan House know, like, we have some really families living really in difficult situations. It feels to the wellness counselors like the shelter systems are pretty full right now. And then the other problem that we're having is that pretty significant bottleneck that's still existing with our core service agencies to getting people rental assistance. So it's just people are afraid it's not going to come in time, number one. And number two, barriers around, you know, not legal rentals and landlords, people living in garages, people who are not documented feeling nervous about taking the money. Like, there's a bunch of barriers. It's like, I think we're frustrated because we are being told there's a lot of assistance and we're not really able. And I'm not blaming the core service agencies. I think they're beyond inundated. So I don't know how the funding for the housing worked, if it provided money to hire more staff at the core service agencies or not, but it's really, and the need is, it just feels like we have a lot of families hanging by threads. So that's happening. And then the families that we do have that are in the shelter system, they're just really far. You know, there's the one family shelter in Daly City, but the other ones are just too far from our district. So then we get the issue with transportation, which is very expensive, and our district is very low. I mean, we know that we have to cover it if it becomes necessary. But unfortunately, we've had a couple families choose to put their students in the 100% online learning, which is not the same as distance learning, you know, in our district anyways. It's all online classes. And then with no teacher, just like, you know, just read the thing and do the stuff. And then 1 hour of teacher support a week. So it's really, and no access to school activities or clubs or anything like that, which if a family, you know, was unsheltered and wanted their kid to have access, we would definitely go to bat to get the kid in a sport or something like that, but they're just too far. So, and then just like on a general student level, the level of crisis at each school, the number of crisis interventions we're doing is starting to tick up fast and furiously. So I feel really grateful for the grant because we have increased mental health staff, and everybody's working 24/7. There's nobody's like sitting around doing nothing. So I think, yeah. And then we have now a school social worker at every site, and they are meeting with each student who's designated either foster or unsheltered. We're even having them meet up with the, temporarily doubled up, which means like hundreds of kids eventually will be met with, hundreds and hundreds. And they're checking in and just seeing what resources are needed and, doing some intake and how can they support the family. So that's really exciting. And then we're working together as a team on what they're doing.
Thank you for sharing, Melissa. It's pretty dire across the county. So does anyone from any of the core agencies want to kind of tell us what their experience has been, just even the last month or so?
Yes, hi, it's Latrice Taylor, Samaritan House. Sorry, my camera's not on, but it will be before the end of today. So there's a lot there, and I'm going to hopefully help y'all know what's going on. As you know, number one, the eviction moratorium is ending September 30th. So that means the Corps are trying to help as many people as possible get their applications to the state ERAP program. As you know, there's 47 million that has been allocated to this county. We have additional staff that are helping people with those applications at the website housingiskey.com. Any of you can help folks, your agencies, you can direct people there, or you can have them call any of the Corps because we have designated staff just for the state ERAP funds. And it's for rental assistance that goes back to April 1 of last year. Also, I'm finding out that there are some other things that are coming up as far as October 1. If people do not have their applications in, then there may be a possibility of people being taken to eviction court. So what I will tell you and impress upon you is tell folks to first get their application into the state, housingiskey.com, or contact a court. Also, to address the concern about Corps taking time, this is partly why we are in the midst of COVID. So there are a lot of people who are scared, who need money, who need food, who need a lot of things. So we're doing the best we can. But if you have a family, if you have a youth who is having difficulty accessing a Corps, call me or email me for a specific situation. And I can ask, because Samaritan House is the fiscal agent of all the Corps. So we're the ones who hold all the funding, cut the checks. I have to do all the training of all the Corps workers on helping your staff, your people. So I tend to act as the liaison for the Corps. So please forward any of your concerns for funding, applications, anything Corps specific, because just what I said for the state, we also still have funding here in this county locally for those who are not impacted by COVID. Let's see. Also, for the shelters, both single and family, currently, yes, there is a wait list because some of the shelters are closed right now. Why? Because there have been exposures. So there are very few shelters that are allowing people to come in right now. And we definitely want to keep people safe and not affected by COVID. So yes, right now there is a bottleneck and we can't make a movement on that until that's cleared up within each of the shelters. But then also, if anyone who is, any foster youth who are homeless needs a shelter referral, you need to call or go to a Corps so that the Corps worker can ask the questions about if they're homeless and then get them connected with the coordinated entry diversion specialist. The specialist is going to talk to that person about any possible options before we talk shelter. Even for foster youth, We try to find anything else that's possible. So if it means, can we get you with Aunt over in New Jersey? We'll pay a plane ticket for a safe space for that person to go to. That's not just foster youth, that's anybody. Because we're trying to hold shelter beds for those who are chronically homeless, those who have the highest needs. And right now, again, we're scarce on that right now, but put them with a core as soon as possible. And it should be said, the entryway for any service in this county is a core agency. We are contracted to do, if nothing else, information and referral. It is the gateway to find out what is going on in San Mateo County. So y'all are the experts with foster youth, with education. And so whenever I have a need from y'all, I call you. If you have a need for all these additional services and you don't know, get them with a core, and I'll put my email in the chat. If you have a question, if you're not getting service, whatever that is, email me, call me. It is not a problem and we'll figure it out. Because I know with foster youth, we know how our beautiful people can run and do, and they're not on our time frame. So if it's anything that could help get them the service they need, if you're having a little difficulty with reaching a core, then reach me because I will respond and help you out. And finally, we still are also doing food, hot meals. We do meals for schools. We've done after schools. We did summer camps. We do senior facilities. And we also partner with agencies where if you actually have one-on-one events, ongoing, whatever that looks like, you could also ask me because I'm over the food services, and we can provide food for your event too. So this past year we went from 1.5 million to now we're at 3 million hot meals. And we are still, because that's how much the need is crazy. But we are here and we want to help support whatever you need. So just ask. And I know I talked longer than you meant for me to, but I wanted y'all to know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Latrice. No, it's always great to hear everything that you share. And it's always a good reminder of the core agencies really are the key for all of this. And you are a fabulous representative of all the core agencies. So thank you always for coming to this meeting too, because I know how busy your schedule is.
We know it's very important. We have, if nothing else, I have to be here. I have, just so y'all know, I worked in foster care for 5 years prior to Samaritan House. So I get it. I understand it. I had to be the one to train foster families who would take in teens. We specialized in teens. So I really get it. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. So Samantha, what are you guys working on with Star Vista? Like, what are kind of your goals, or what are you seeing with your youth?
Right now, with the start of a new school year, we're really trying to reorient with our families as their youth go back to in-person learning. So it's a lot of meeting with them. We're still meeting virtually, but seeing what are those gaps that took place over the last year of students attending school virtually and coming up with creative ways to re-engage with some families and kind of shift the supports we might be providing to meet those new needs that are coming up from being absent from the classroom physically. A lot of our youth are in need of tutoring. And so we're working closely with Amy and the tutoring agency to make sure that our youth that need that are connected with the tutoring services. And really just right now that rebuild time as the kids are back in school and seeing what caregivers support might be needed and realigning with everyone because it's a big transition and there's some new needs that are coming up after our youth have been out of school.
Thank you, Samantha. Amy, I know you're also dealing with another crisis. Are you able to give us a really quick update on what CFS is doing, what your goals are, or is this not a good time?
Yeah, certainly. This year we're doing things a little different, just from lessons learned in the previous year. In this new academic year, we're actually going to go ahead and look at creating themes so we can incorporate youth, voice and choice and whatnot. So for example, this month is our meet and greet. So it's a new academic year. Any youth that are eligible for IOP services, that starts from the age of 14 onwards. We are encouraging them to participate in IOP workshops. This month, we're starting with supportive relationships. It's the initial interactions, meeting with all of the IOP partners, the county folks, the IOP program within the county, and also our contracted providers as well, really distinguishing who provides what service. And then for the next month, our theme is going to be surrounding college. So for example, anything that's college related, whether it's college admissions, college applications, financial aid, FAFSAs, decision makings about college, how to go about choosing a college. So instead of having one workshop per month like we've done in the past years, we're now going to have potentially a few within that month that is centered around those themes. And our themes are going to be in alignment with the KC Life skill sets. So the larger IOP leadership team is going to meet later this month to work on future theme months for November onwards until June. We're certainly going to be seeking feedback from the educational liaisons as well. But we're hoping that I'm going to share our meet and greet invite in a little bit in the chat so that any of you that are working with foster youth that are 14 and above, if you can encourage them to participate. We want to be able to reach as many youth as possible. One of our biggest challenge is that we have a high number of eligible youth that are eligible for IOP services, but the number of youth that we're actually actively engaging with is lower than we anticipate. And our goal for this year is to engage as many more youth as possible. So that's where we're at. We're also tweaking a couple of different things within our own internal program where we are planning ahead. We are sharing flyers with our own social workers, those that are working with this population, and sharing that information early on in the month so that when they're going out there on a monthly basis to meet with their youth, they can actually have discussions, have conversations with our youth. And our IOP team is also providing conversation starters for our social workers to have with our youth. So we're hoping that with all these different little changes, that we're going to be able to reach more youth moving forward. Rosanna, I see you have your hands up.
Yes, Amy, can you talk about the change that was made so that about the gift certificates?
Yes, absolutely. So in the past, so any foster youth that participate in an IOP workshop, they do get a $30 incentive. In the past, our IOP partners would have to submit the list of youth names to us in CFS. And then our internal staff would then make the request for those incentive dollars to be paid out. This can take months. And so it's really discouraging to our youth. But now we've managed to change that. And I've changed our contract with our CLCP providers. So now moving forward, there will be an immediate payout as soon as they complete the workshop. And one of the things that we're also going to incorporate into our workshop is a survey at the end of the workshop so that we can elicit feedback from the youth directly. We can engage them in topics that are of interest to them. So they would have to complete the survey before we can pay out the incentive. This is another way for us to engage in their choices of topic areas and whatnot. So there will be immediate payout after the workshop. So that's just one of our big change.
And a reminder to our schools, right? We have foster youth that are San Mateo dependents, and we have foster youth that are placed in our county from other counties. So any of those youth who are in a placement from another county are open to San Mateo ILP and can now get these same incentives. Whereas before there had to be communication with their county of jurisdiction, and it was really a disincentive for them to participate. But this is a really, really great change. And so any youth in schools that are in placement, it doesn't matter what county they're from.
That's a great update. Thank you, Amy, for that. I'm happy to share next regarding, since AB 12 ILP services go hand in hand with our THP plus aftercare support. So we too, one of the most recent updates as AB 12 has been extended through due to the pandemic until the end of the year. So we project come January 2020, if there's not another extension, that is when we will be welcoming new youth into our program. So we're really hopeful as a team that we can make sure to re-engage youth, let's say come November, December, to really start making sure that we have what we need in order to enroll them, efficiently and as smooth as possible. Since once those AB 12 funds end, then we could come in with our housing support, our case management support. So I will keep the group updated when that time comes to make sure that we're not missing anyone that should be in contact with me. Please, at any time, feel free to share my contact information. I will go ahead and put it in the chat here. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Alyssa. Now, Spencer, can you kind of give us an update with Casa of Trainings and what maybe your goals are for that this year?
Yeah. So yeah, Casa right now, we have a training coming up in the fall. A big push for us this year, and what we are in need of is Spanish-speaking volunteers specifically for our youth who are monolingual Spanish speakers. We are actually down a recruitment and outreach coordinator right now, so we have a posting out for that position who will really lead that initiative. So we're still looking though for networks and different communities to tap into in order to recruit more Spanish-speaking volunteers. So that's going to be something that we're really pushing for in this next year. I would say one of our bigger needs that we've noticed too, and something that's already been talked about, is transportation is a big issue as always, because it's just, as we all know, it's so expensive. So yeah, that's pretty much a quick update from Casa.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Spencer. Millie, can you give us an update from Life Moves?
Yes, sorry. This little thing here. Sorry, trying to get that together. So with Life Moves, again, it's a nonprofit shelter agency. And some things that we've been working on in terms of education, we've kind of facilitated some online programming to kind of try and catch our kiddos up in time for this school semester. And the teens proved me greatly wrong in terms of their engagement in our programs. And so much so that we're going to continue it for the rest of the academic school year this year. And we'd like to correlate our impact of the tutoring program to their grades to see if it's impacting it in a positive way and how we can improve our programs. We still offer our Learn and Earn virtual tutoring program, which started because of COVID, because we understood that we have some kids that have particular needs that are more centralized to one-on-one support in terms of their learning and their education. And so we've piloted that program, and it's going on almost 2 years now, which has been really great. And I say all this to kind of say that we are looking for some support in terms of more Chromebooks. We currently have a little over 300 students at both of our locations, San Mateo and Santa Clara County. And in San Mateo County, we have 182 school-aged kids at our shelter site programs that we'd like to support and make sure we can gear all our efforts and materials to all the kids that need it throughout both counties. With our teen programming, we incentivize it because, of course, when it comes to learning and education, our teens are definitely not for it. But when you add a little incentive to it, which again, it has proved a success, they are motivated and more willing to engage in the program. And the way it's set up is that they come in and they have their assigned college level tutor who are volunteer based that come and kind of work on their learning material from where they're at. So some of our kids were behind. And so we'll kind of start from there and kind of work our way up in order for them to kind of grasp the learning material. We also have some parenting support programs that we're working on for our new parents. A big challenge is always going to be childcare. So we're still working on how we can try to get some of our families onto these wait lists or have some donors provide some funding for it. But there's just a little bit of everything. We had a back to school drive, which allowed for us to have backpacks and school materials both friendly for every age group, which is a great success. And we do have some more for any kids that are in need. Challenge, transportation is a challenge this year for some of our kiddos. And another challenge is for kids that are coming from a different county in order to enroll them in school. It's been a little slow getting their stuff transferred over. And so that's just kind of a little bit of everything that's been going on that we're trying to work on for our families and our youth.
Millie, I might add for that challenge you've had with the transferring of things, feel free to reach out to me and Renee and Lauren. That's kind of what we do, so we could give you some tips of the trade on how to speed things along a little bit. I'll put our email addresses in the chat.
Oh, thank you. I will do.
Thanks, Millie. And Marie, can you give us an update on Pivotal, please?
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me. Well, like everyone here, starting a new school year, and really also just trying to reconnect with students. Working remotely, trying to coach virtually was challenging last year. It was more difficult to engage our young people, and they, as you also all know, were not feeling so engaged in their education for a lot of them. So trying to see how getting back to school in person is going to help support both their academic engagement, but also how it's going to change our work, because Pivotal remains virtual at least until January. So it's going to be an interesting combination there, and see how we can engage and reach them. Of course, working closely with the ILP team at CFS to align around the workshops and try to contribute. And it's a really nice way to bringing kids together when you can. It's just a really nice way to create a little bit of a sense of community, and they're not in this alone. So I'm hopeful that that will yield some good results also.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to meet with Victor recently too, and so he's highly motivated to get more traction in San Mateo County in terms of getting kids connected to their future. So we're excited.
Victor is our new coach in San Mateo. Thank you for mentioning him, Mary. Those of you who knew Katrina, she moved on to other opportunities. But we were really pleased to bring Victor on board. He has a lot of experience actually working around academics with high school students, and he happens to be bilingual Spanish speaker, so bonus points for that.
And just a reminder that Pivotal services are open to any ILP eligible youth who are attending high school in San Mateo County, and so the referral comes through the social worker through ILP.
Thank you, Rosanna.
So now I'd like to, is there any community partner that I've missed? I didn't do a great job writing everyone's stuff down. No, at this point. Okay. So what I'd love to do is hear a little bit more from the districts of what you're seeing and what support we can be giving you. So Antonio, I'm going to pick on you as a K-8 district. Can you let us know what you're seeing?
Well, we're seeing a lot of trauma among the students. I think it is taking time for the students to adjust to coming back to in-person learning. I have a number, it's not a huge number, but I have a number of students who are really having a hard time being at school and being anxious about being at school. I don't know if it is due to the news or the family member who has been affected by COVID, but there's some cases that I've seen at all the school sites where the students are having a hard time being at school. I see the need for homeless students who the families need monetary support, like, I don't know, a gift card to purchase food or stuff like that. We had during COVID, or during distance learning, we had an organization providing us with gift cards, $100 gift cards, that we were keeping track of who was receiving those cards because they need of, either paying for gas or or purchasing food or whatever they needed at the moment. And challenge that I have as a district is that the identification of students who are homeless. So what we're doing is when we are following up with positive cases, when we ask the question about who else is in the household, we identify that there are some students who are living with other families there. So that's when we go over the homeless questionnaire and I identify more students, but I know there are more out there that we haven't been able to identify for whatever reason. So that's my efforts that I'm going to put into this year, trying to identify those students and determine how can we better assist them. And yeah, basically that's it. I mean, the support that we have given them in the past is, free food at school, and we send them to agencies that we know assist families like Second Harvest or the community schools that we have in the district to provide them additional services that they could receive. But during the distance learning, having gift cards was a really immediate support that we could provide to the families. So when you were talking about extra funds, I was hoping that that's something that maybe consider that, an amount of gift cards that could be given to the districts. And that way we can provide immediate assistance. I usually have backpacks and school materials here available at in my office. So when I hear about the family and I interview the family, then I'm able to give them something for the kids to use at the moment. What else am I seeing? It's just that, that stress that I can see in not only homeless students, but also regular, all students that are experiencing a challenging time adapting to school. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Jared, what are you noticing at Jefferson?
At the moment, we have, well, we're noticing that there's a steady stream of people who are now reporting themselves as homeless, and that this has been a kind of an interesting, well, it's not interesting, but it has brought into large the conversation with Tanya and Stephanie, who used to be in this committee, about how we support those families. And we found that working with some of the surrounding community supports have helped a lot, but the discussions between families and school sides has been minimal. And we're working a lot with clearing up the process within our district for identification. I was working on outreach with those families in terms of making more trauma informed. And the Daly City is becoming more and more like San Francisco in terms of housing and in terms of impact that inflation has had on people being able to afford to live here. So we're seeing a lot of people leave, but we're also seeing a lot of people who are impacted by having the same jobs, but yet still not being able to afford living in the area. I also noticed that in our school sites, we are struggling for material supports for our students and the families. And we're partnering with a lot of the great organizations around us, Daly City Partnership specifically, and Life Moves, to create avenues of conversation between us. But at this moment, we've identified a good large amount, 500 amount of students in our district who are now identified as homeless. I think you're muted at this time.
Yeah, it's my turn now. Don, do you have any, do you have anything different that you're seeing at San Mateo Union?
Yeah, so for San Mateo, I'll just be brief. I'm gonna run to a meeting with April here, Mary. So I was typing in the chat. We're seeing a lot of the same things. The trauma from returning to campus, the behaviors that are playing out on the campuses that are pretty extreme for the first month of school. It's not just, you know, students with unstable housing, or it's all students. And so transportation is a real issue on many levels. Samtrans cutting routes, not having routes like that available, and then not having enough drivers for school buses has become very problematic for us. And you know, overall, I think attendance is up. I think our homeless declarations have increased. My biggest concern is that's probably still not even capturing the increase, because families are less likely to fill it out because all the students are eating for free on the campuses. So they're not declaring to be homeless because it doesn't carry with it sort of a free lunch that normally would be sort of the carrot to get everyone to fill out the form in many respects. And so with all the students eating for free in our, that's also carried with it issues around not having enough service, food service providers. So it's a trickle down of giving more, giving more, but not having enough staffing for it. So with drivers and food service providers. So not really specific to homeless students or foster youth, but really happy to hear Lauren's on board for our seniors. I'm, her and I were chatting, excited to have that because we've identified at least probably about 15 either current foster youth or former foster youth who would really benefit from her as a case manager for college.
Great, thank you. And Alvaro, you and I spoke earlier this week about unaccompanied minors coming on, and I know this group had talked about this at length last year. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So yes, I concur with what Antonio and Jared and Don just said. Transportation is a challenge for us. Behaviors, yeah, kids haven't been in school for a long time, so they're readjusting on how to behave appropriately on schools. And it's been very busy in regards to behavior. I oversee the whole discipline process, expulsions, whatnot, pre-expulsion meetings, all of that. So my office has been very busy with that. But specifically to unaccompanied minors, we're getting a high volume of students enrolling into the district that is really concerning. They really do fit the profile of being homeless because they are coming mainly from Central America with huge gaps in education. And when they're enrolling here, they're first being detained at detention centers for 2 to 3 months. And what's really concerning is that these minors are being released to non-qualified caregivers. So we're enrolling them into the school district as unaccompanied minors, but yet they're not residing with a qualified caregiver. And the bigger issue with that is that they don't have an educational rights holder. And I spoke, to Mary and Rosanna and Renee at a previous meeting about something else. So, we're really trying to figure out the enrolling part of the school is the easy part. It's, really providing the support services and having somebody that can make educational decisions for them. That's where we're hitting the wall. I know that, some people have brought up surrogates. We don't have any surrogates, or qualified surrogates here in the district. I don't know if the county can come up with, something, but I think, like for us, that will be a need that we have because, students are coming in, they're enrolling to school. And if we're looking at, possible assessments, because a lot of these students do come with a lot of trauma, when we're looking at, providing supports, or even if they get involved in discipline issues, they don't have any rights holders. So that's been a challenge. In terms of numbers, I want to say that we've enrolled the least. I want to say anywhere, Jocelyn, what is it, like 45, newcomers into the district, and it's not stopping. They continue to come in. I would anticipate that we're probably going to hit 50 or 60, within the next couple of weeks. That's kind of similar to what we did, last year. And, if I were to project, the number of newcomers that we're going to be getting in January, I would say anywhere in between 30 to 40, because if you're watching the news, like it's known that there's another caravan of families from Central America already, crossing, through Mexico, on their way here. So if they are detained at the border, I would say that, it takes about a 2 to 3 month delay before they arrive in our area. So I think, the last caravan was probably like 600 or 700. So, you take 10% of that because the Bay Area is a desirable area. I would say 30 to 40 kids, we're going to be getting in January. So that being said, if we could find ed rights holders, if we can start, like maybe providing some trainings, for surrogates, recruiting some ed rights holder, that would be a huge need. With gift cards, same thing with Antonio. I don't want to repeat, like we have the backpacks, we have bus passes, we can provide all of that, but when I have a family here that they tell me that, they're parking their car over by Bayshore and that they're moving their RV to different places, they really don't need the backpack because the school or somebody else has already provided that. They're really looking for clothing. Do we have any gift cards for Gap? Do we have any gift cards for Safeway? We don't have that, but if we could have that available, that would be an immediate service that we can provide, to these families.
Thank you, Alvaro. Does anyone want to add to that? Because I saw some people shaking their heads that they're experiencing that too.
We're experiencing that at JUHSD. We've had I think already now our numbers are as high as they were for all of 2019, 2020. And they just keep coming. And as many of you have the same issues, we weren't able to hire, we were able to luckily hire our mental health staff completely, because I know people have gaps, but we weren't able to fill some of the bilingual positions that we had lost. And so we're having a real trouble serving. And then we're also having trouble with BART because a lot of the kids are not living super close. So getting, BART is expensive if you do it every day. So we could actually really use some BART tickets. And then we're also having trouble because, Alvaro, I don't remember what district you work for, what your grades are, but our kids are working. The kids are coming here and they need to work. And even though it's not legal, their sponsors are charging them rent, and which is understandable, actually, in the Bay Area. So also a high school district. So we're having a hard time, and they cannot do the online only. Like, it's not language, like we don't even know if they're literate in their home language, much less like this crazy academic English that would be even hard for me to manage. And online time. So we just they need work opportunities. It's just, and so we're also working on, I would love to meet with other school districts, like a very streamlined process about admitting the kids, having them shadow for a day, like making sure that they meet a community of other people. And then we're also wondering, I don't know if any of you guys know, this is slightly off topic, are we expecting to get families from Afghanistan, right? We're just curious about that as far as newcomers coming at some point, but we are like at Jefferson High School, where we put most of the Spanish speaking newcomers, we are completely full. There's no more space in the EL1 classes.
Well, so this is totally unofficial, but as for Afghanistan, I've signed up for some newsletters and to help volunteer. And it sounds like a lot of them are being placed in Contra Costa County. I think they have a large community there. So I haven't heard, that's San Francisco, but I haven't heard yet of anyone resettling.
Just to add to Melissa's point, like in terms of literacy skills, when I say significant gaps in education, I mean, I'm basically referring to students who maybe completed 4th or 5th grade and have been out of school since, and they're coming to us at the 16-ish, 17-ish, like as juniors, seniors. So even if we look at Assembly Bill AB 2121 and them, earning a diploma with 130 credits, that's really irrelevant because they don't have the literacy skills. I mean, we really have to focus on reading and writing versus, meeting modified high school graduation requirements. So like, even if they come in junior year or senior year and they have that right to the 5th year, they just don't have the skill set, to earn that diploma, even with a modified graduation requirement. So, we started the Newcomer Center. I'm working with our bilingual, not bilingual. Well, we did hire a bilingual coordinator, parent coordinator, but I'm working with our EL coordinator on the Newcomer Center. But I think the idea of the Newcomer Center is really, supporting the students that are coming in without gaps in education, which is great. To me, is, like, let's really come up with a, with a literacy center that will support these students into the transition, perhaps to adult ed. And, Melissa, to that point, a lot of these students that are coming in, their priority is not school. And, and I get that because they have relatives, back home, and their main focus is really, I need to work. So they're even asking me, 16-year-olds, hey, I haven't been in school for 7 years. What's the point of me going to school? Can I just go to adult ed? And the answer is, you're too young to go to adult ed. So you have to go to school. And then we enroll them and they disappear because their interest is not school. So anyways, that's a challenge. The numbers keep going up. I want to say my first year before the pandemic, we probably had 60, like in January or after my first semester, and then the number went up. And, during the pandemic, I don't know whether it's a fair number to see, maybe because people thought schools were closed, they just never bother enrolling in school, but as soon as we came back to in-person instruction, now the numbers are going up once again.
So oh, go ahead.
I was just going to add the last bit of that struggle is that if they don't go to school, they're jeopardizing any of their status as a refugee. And so we, like for me, it's like the big picture is really important for them. But of course, for them, their immediate needs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, it would be amazing if our government could just give them funding monthly so that they could stay and not work and go to school. But that doesn't seem to be, something that's happening. So it's just it's another, if that wasn't true, I would probably just be like, yeah, I get it. You need to go work, take care of yourself. But we also don't want them to jeopardize their ability to stay in the United States safely, and that without too much fear, which is like a whole other story. But
could I add something real quick about the Afghan refugees?
Please do.
The Corps, we did get information from the Office of Community Affairs, Immigrant Services, and I can read this in part, is that we've been receiving a few questions in regards to future arrivals of Afghan refugees. I'm paraphrasing. I haven't heard of San Mateo County resettling any refugees, mostly because we don't have a refugee resettlement agency here like in Santa Clara, Contra Costa, and Alameda counties. I would imagine we have some refugees that come to have previous family ties, but otherwise this region is too expensive. So they have been, the resettlement agencies, International Rescue Committee, Jewish Family Services, both in Santa Clara, Catholic Charities, which is Santa Clara and Alameda County, they get names of all those who are coming through the Office of Refugee Resettlement, and they provide funding for those agencies to offer resettlement services. So that's what's going on thus far, as far as the Afghan refugees.
Thank you, Latrice.
Sure.
Much appreciated. So I wanted to share that we have a new associate superintendent at the San Mateo County Office of Ed, and immigration, newcomers, unaccompanied minors is one of his passion projects. So he and our executive director of equity, inclusion, and social justice are working together. They've been attending the immigrant forum. I think it's called the immigrant forum. And when Marco Chavez first started, I was like, hey, we had this conversation at our EAC and it'd be great if we could get involved with this. So I invited him to this meeting. He was not able to come today, but he will come to future meetings. And so a lot of the, I wrote it all down again, but the suggestions of having specific training, to have a unified procedure for addressing these kids, and to look at the gaps between all of the services available in our county for them. I believe that we have people in place now at SMCW that have the bandwidth to address this. So I've been still advocating since we first talked about this to get another meeting together specifically to talk about this issue, to provide support for these youth. So I'm more confident that will be coming. Okay, so I know this has been just a really heavy meeting, so I promise they're not all like this. It's just like there's so much to share the first time. So just kind of looking at our agenda, are there any other goals that anyone on this call feels that we at SMC we need to be focusing on, both for the homeless and foster youth populations, that we need to tweak our efforts to better match?
I have a question for all the shelters agencies. I have a lot of immigrants and they don't have legal documentation, and I refer them to the shelters. And usually they tell me that they need legal documentation for them to be in the waiting list or to have put it in a shelter. Is that true?
For Life Moves, that is not true.
Okay.
And not for Safe Harbor, no. It might be a miscommunication of what that really means. So no, that's not true.
So what is the protocol, or what is the thing that the documentation that they need to complete? Because I called to, I think it was, I don't remember exactly if it was, I think it was Life's Move. And they told me that I need to go first to Samaritan House and then complete a paperwork. And then from there, you refer them to Life's Move.
Right, that's what the coordinated entry system is. Anyone, you don't refer anyone directly to a shelter. They have to be referred to a core agency first. Then the steps are taken. Yeah, so you can't call Life Moves directly.
Oh, I see. And also it's because probably the language barrier, then it was usually all the immigrants that I help is Spanish speaking, and they say then it's really hard for them to find somebody who translate for them.
Well, I'll tell you, all the corps have Spanish speaking staff. We all do. So, and I believe also even Samaritan House, we have Tagalog. I think we have different variations of Chinese, even Farsi. So it's legally, all of the corps have to have language translation. So really it is as simple as call a corps and we'll figure it out. It will help.
So next time I'm gonna refer all my, all the students, all the families, Spanish speaking families, first to Samaritan houses.
Yep, that's fine. Or I'll say for homeless, because it really is wherever you land in whatever is easily the most accessible for that person. So if they happen to be out on the bay, I mean, not on the bay, but out in Pacifica, then you'd want them to go to Pacifica Resource Center. So it doesn't matter, but what is going to be the most convenient for your youth, your family? Because I don't want to say go to Samaritan House, but then they're up in South San Francisco and should be with the YMCA. Now, if you want to call, then, call, that's fine too. But we also don't want to make it inconvenient for people having to run around, especially with transportation, because that is an issue of even once they're at a core, then we get them transported to whatever shelter they're going to go to that evening. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank, that was really helpful.
Sure.
Okay. And then are there any specific speakers or topics that you would like covered in these meetings? How last year we'd set up, we had speakers for about 20 minutes to explain their agency, anything like that. Is there anything you particularly would love to know more about or anything like that? Yeah, Melissa?
There was this really cool organization, and I don't remember if it was through, like all the various meetings I go to, so which forum brought the folks, but they were doing work with youth who had either presently have or have had incarcerated guardians or parents. And that's another thing that's coming up more for us, the families of either currently incarcerated parents or guardians or formerly incarcerated, and they seem to be much more economically on the edge, which makes perfect sense. And so we're looking for some support. Was that this group, Mary? You brought some really cool organization. Someone did.
Look for it and bring it back.
Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Oh God, it was like you were
yes,
like,
but I don't remember the agency. But
yeah, you're like, this exists.
Great.
I can't believe
That's
this
a
exists.
great
And they had
one.
all these opportunities. And anyways, we could really use support for those young people. And then also, I don't know if anyone is doing specific grief work around, like the grief of being unsheltered right now, if there's anything like that going on that could be offered sort of as group work or something, I don't know, that could be really beneficial, I would imagine. There's just a lot of, and I was, I think Don Scatano was talking about like the behavior that's happening at school is wild.
Yeah.
So I think, like they're just totally overstimulated and maxed out. And so are the school staff. And so the behavior is like.
Would this be a good time to introduce the professional development opportunities from LA County? So our technical assistance program, which comprised of folks from the CDE and LA County as kind of being the base, County Office of Ed, has come up with a series of professional development trainings. I think Michelle sent it out, but I think we can throw it into the chat as well. They're free and they're virtual, obviously, so anyone here can attend. Thank you, Shalane. She's posted the flyer in the chat.
I will also reach out to Kara and different and Star Vista about a variety of different things, even though we have Star Vista here, but to see if there's even just some short-term things that we could fund or put together, particularly for our housing insecure and foster youth. Okay. So this has felt like really heavy. So I'm gonna, unless there's any, does anyone have any questions or comments that they'd like to make? Okay, so I'm gonna actually end us a little early today so we can take this extra half hour and just kind of breathe or take a walk or do something before our next meeting comes up. But I want to end on an optimistic closure. So feel free to either unmute yourself and share, or you can go ahead and put it in the chat. What is one thing that when you're going to look back on the 21-22 school year, so it's June 1st, and you look back, what is one thing you would like to have accomplished as it pertains to your organization or your district?
Okay, and I can start it off.
Okay, go for it, Jeremy.
One thing I would like to accomplish is get at least one of the students or the youth that I'm working with into college.
Love that one. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share kind of their goal?
I'm
For me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
One of the homeless students, the family, now they bought their first house.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Thank you. Latrice?
First, I want to be like Jeremy when I grow up.
Yeah,
that dedicated. I'm just telling y'all, I really did that. That's some dedication. Yeah. I'm just gonna tell you, God bless you, man. Really, I want to be able to not turn anyone away. Yeah, you know, there is scarcity, but it's like as long as we can just service anybody who can come to us, I really, not just us, but all the corps, I really want to get to a place. Well, really, honestly, this San Mateo County is a great county. I've never seen the partnership and the relationships that are formed anywhere else in this country that like that happens here. And we rally together. And I want to hopefully get to that place where anybody who comes to any of our doors, they get served. That's what I really want.
Melissa?
I think I would be just delighted if we could help more of our staff be like, oh, my nervous system is wildly dysregulated and I need to resource, because if I don't, then I'm going to dysregulate all these young people. Like I'm going to contribute to the dysregulation. Maybe not, it's my fault entirely, but I'm starting to really understand how profound the impact staff has on our young people, and just like really honor them for the hard work they're doing and the brittleness that they're feeling, and offer them support services so that can like radiate out to the young people.
Love that too. Okay. There's no one else. Shalane has dropped some files in the chat. Do you want to, Shalane, real quick, share what's there?
Certainly. So there's that trauma-informed webinars that Rosanna had mentioned, put on by LA County. And there's also the FAFSA challenge. We can check that one out. Next month, we have our Respect 24/7 virtual conference. Registration is open. I hope I see you there. And we also have a Restorative Practices Creatively Enriched series. It starts in a few weeks. So check that one out. It's from our Safe and Supportive Schools team. And Mary had mentioned our symposium for At Promise Youth. That's in the springtime. And we have a great featured speaker. So registration is also open for that one.
So I just want to close by thanking all of you for being here, thanking you for your commitment to our youth. And even though we're still in the mix, we're still in this really unusual time, to not forget that we do really have this opportunity to change education, to change exactly how Latrice was talking. The fact how the agencies have come together in San Mateo County is unusual, and how we can keep that going to really boost our youth up to productive adult lives. So thank you all for being here. And Amy, if you need any support with anything, please let us know. Enjoy the rest of your day.